On the bold and the beautiful, one burst of anger may be all it takes to destroy everything. This time, Will may be the one who snaps. What starts as a confrontation over Elektra is about to spiral into a violent clash that could leave shocking damage behind. And this is not just about jealousy anymore. This may threaten careers, relationships, and the balance inside the Forrester family itself. On the surface, this storyline looks simple. Will confronts RJ over Elektra. RJ mouths off. Tempers flare. A fight breaks out. But the deeper tension may be much more complicated. This may not just be about Will feeling jealous. It may be about Will feeling replaced. That emotional difference matters. Jealousy can make someone defensive. But feeling replaced can make someone desperate. It can make every small interaction feel like a threat. Every glance feels loaded. Every conversation feels personal. And if Will already suspects that RJ is moving in on someone he still sees as his, then this confrontation may come from a much deeper wound than simple anger. For RJ, the danger may be different. He may think he can handle Will. He may think sarcasm is just a way to keep control of the situation. But in soap drama, mockery often becomes the spark that sets off something much bigger. And that may be exactly what happens here. Because once RJ throws those cutting remarks, Will may stop hearing words and start reacting purely from emotion. That is when people stop thinking about where they are, who is watching, and what it could cost them. And in this case, the setting makes the whole thing even worse. This is not happening in private. This is happening in the CEO office. That detail alone raises the stakes dramatically. Because now this is not just personal humiliation. It is public, professional, and impossible to brush aside. Spoilers suggest Will responds physically, shoving RJ and setting off a brutal fight. RJ shoves back, and suddenly the situation spirals out of control. This is the point where the story gets truly interesting. Because once Will turns anger into action, he may create a problem much bigger than RJ. If Will attacks RJ in a professional setting, then even viewers who understand his pain may struggle to defend his choices. He may feel provoked. He may feel betrayed. He may even feel like he is protecting what is his. But none of that changes the fact that physical violence in the workplace brings consequences that emotion cannot erase. That is why this may become a turning point for Will's character. Up until now, he may have still had room to present himself as the wronged one. The guy who got hurt. The guy reacting to mixed signals and emotional confusion. But once fists and shoves enter the picture, that image may crack. Suddenly, Will is no longer just the injured party. He may become the person who went too far. And that shift could matter not only for Ridge, but for Elektra too. Because it is one thing for Elektra to feel sympathy for a man who is hurting. It is something else entirely for her to see that hurt become aggression. Still, RJ is not exactly walking through this clean. Spoilers say RJ becomes overly angry during the confrontation too, and that matters because it suggests this is not a one-sided blow-up. RJ is not calmly trying to de-escalate the moment. He is fueling it. He is provoking it. He is shoving back. That makes the dynamic more layered. RJ may believe he is simply refusing to be intimidated. He may feel justified in standing his ground. He may even think Will is the one acting possessive and irrational. But if RJ knowingly keeps pushing Will's buttons, then he may share more responsibility for the chaos than he expects. The problem is that shared blame does not always lead to shared consequences. In families like the Forresters and Spencers, perception matters just as much as fact. Who looked worse? Who lost control first? Who crossed the line most publicly? Those questions often matter more than the original argument. And if Ridge walks in on total chaos, he may not care who had the sharper point in the argument. He may only care that both men embarrassed themselves and the company. That is what makes this storyline more suspenseful than a typical love triangle clash. The real fallout may not be emotional at first. It may be professional, and that is where things could get brutal. Ridge Forrester is not going to be happy. In fact, spoilers strongly suggest he may step in, break up the confrontation, and make it very clear that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated. On the surface, that sounds like the end of the fight. But it may actually be the beginning of the real fallout. Because once Ridge gets involved, the conflict stops being just about Will, RJ, and Elektra. It becomes about discipline, image, and accountability. Ridge may feel forced to make an example out of one or both of them, especially if the fight makes Forrester creations look unstable and immature from the inside. And if Will is seen as the one who truly attacked RJ, then the consequences for him could be devastating. He could lose his place at Forrester. That possibility alone raises the emotional stakes of the story. Because suddenly Will is not just risking Elektra. He is risking his professional future too. And once someone starts losing both love and career at the same time, that is when soap characters become deeply unpredictable. A humiliated Will may lash out again. He may blame RJ even more. He may beg Elektra to understand. Or he may spiral into a version of himself that even he did not expect to become. That is why Ridge's intervention may not calm things down in the long run. It may only force the emotional wreckage into a new phase. As explosive as the fight itself sounds, the most important moment may come afterward, when Elektra finds out what happened. And this is where the story gets especially compelling. Because once Elektra learns about the brawl, her response may reveal where her heart really is. Will she rush to Will, seeing him as someone wounded and emotionally unraveling? Will she view the fight as proof that he still cares too much to let her go? Or will she be disturbed by how far he let his anger take him? On the other hand, if she goes to RJ, comforts him, and stands by his side, that could say something equally powerful. It could suggest that whatever tension has been building between her and RJ is no longer theoretical. It is becoming emotionally real. And if that happens, Will may not just feel rejected. He may feel replaced in the exact way he feared from the beginning. That is why Elektra's next move could carry more weight than the fight itself. In many soap stories, the punch is not the true turning point. The true turning point is who gets chosen when the dust settles. If Elektra chooses RJ, Will and Elektra may be finished. If Elektra chooses Will, the potential connection between her and RJ may collapse before it fully begins. Either way, this is no longer a harmless triangle built on awkward chemistry and quiet tension. This may be the moment it becomes official heartbreak. What makes this spoiler so effective is that it is not built on a random fight. It is built on emotional pressure that may reveal who these characters really are under stress. Will may be exposed as more volatile than anyone realized. RJ may show that his confidence can quickly slide into recklessness. Ridge may be forced into a harder, more punishing authority role. And Elektra may have to stop living in emotional uncertainty and finally choose where she stands. That is a lot of movement from one office brawl. And that is exactly why this storyline feels dangerous. Because when one scene has the power to change a romance, damage a career, and deepen family tension all at once, it is no longer just a dramatic moment. It becomes a pivot point. The kind that viewers remember later and say, that was the moment everything started to fall apart. So as this bold and the beautiful showdown erupts, the biggest question may not be who wins the fight. It may be who survives the consequences. Will's anger may cost him more than he ever imagined. RJ may discover that provoking the wrong person comes with a price of its own. Ridge may be forced to lay down the law. And Elektra may hold the power to decide which man walks away feeling chosen, and which one is left with nothing. So what do you think? Did Will go too far? Is RJ just as guilty for pushing him? And when Elektra learns the truth, whose side will she take? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, deep breakdowns, and dramatic analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because this fight may end in minutes, but the fallout could last much longer.